there's so many whistleblowers out there, and they're blowing such a cacophony of whistles. I think I'm going to step into a new way of revealing the dirt. And by the way, this is all biblical. A lady in Texas, a lady in Canada, or a lady in Missouri is about ready to put up Ephesians 5:11, but I'll paraphrase. It says, have nothing to do with the fruitless deeds of darkness, but rather rebuke them and reprove them, which means expose them. So, Barry Soetoro, you're exposed. That horrible thing that you're bearded to is exposed. If anyone were to Google baby murderer plus baby burner plus chips plus pastel, you might see that all roads lead to Abel Danger. David, did I answer your question?
Yeah, you did. Totally, Field. And I've just found something that I think is going to blow your mind. Now, do any of your wonderful cars, are they produced by General Motors?
Yes, for the third time. The first 2 times were caught on camera. The third time's the charm. Yeah, I have several older classics that are produced by General Motors. I could rattle them off, but let's not waste the airtime. I'll put them in Chapter 11. Go ahead.
Okay, so 3 months and 1 day before 9/11, one of the biggest full-scale exercises was conducted in the United States in a simulated attack on General Motors headquarters, wherever that is. The exercise was called Field GMEX 01 for 2001. So listen to this, and I'll read it. It's in the chat room. GMEX 01 participants could have never imagined that just 3 months before, 3 months and 1 day later, 911 would shock the world. The DMAT, that's U.S. Disaster Medical Assistance Team, and DMORT, that's U.S. Disaster Mortuary Team, actually that's Mortuary Operational Response Team, that participated in the GMEX 01 exercise were called into action during 911. In a GMEX 01 videotape developed by DMORT, both DMAT and DMORT credit the GMEX 01 exercise for giving them the opportunity to train for such a catastrophe and prepare them for a worst-case scenario. DMAT and DMORT teams stated they would not have been as prepared for 911 without the training and preparation they received during the GMEX 01 exercise. GMEX 01 received rave reviews from local media and participants. To this day, it is still one of the largest full-scale exercises ever conducted in the U.S. Field, basically, they're done, because what we're seeing here is pre-planning, foreknowledge, and now we know that DMAT and DMORT would have been equipped with the Bowman radios for observe, orient, decide, and act in an attempted overthrow of the government of the United States by force from the inside. Over to you.
Yeah, they keep doing this over and over and over and over and over again, my friend, but they don't believe they're on the eve of destruction, which they are, their own destruction. In fact, there's a Chinese proverb, since the Clintons like Chinese people so much. In fact, I think we might have a little chapter called The Chinese Takeaway about the removal of Hillary Clinton. But the eve of destruction and the Chinese proverb are this: when someone intends to harm their enemy, or someone intends to kill their enemy, they would be wise to dig 2 graves, one for your enemy, one for yourself. Let's see how long it takes Bucky, Bean, Craig, or Sherlock to find a Google of this: Gravedigger plus Picton plus chips plus Castell, not only are we in their OODA loops, we are directing their OODA loops, because these guys are nothing but a bunch of cowards. And when I say cowards, I know of what I say. My words are thought out. My delivery is measured. And a couple of cowards that have really sort of been swept away in a sea of little girl urine include Al Gore. When we started talking about Oslo no-show Gore, he sort of shrank into the, he's sort of in the back scenes now on the sea lots trying to find a podium. But these people, when they're exposed, they can no longer speak publicly because they're solving the azimuth and elevation solution for anybody that might want to take a pot shot at them. And there's plenty of people that would love to give the people who have tried for a long time to destroy the United States of America. There's plenty of people out there that would like to remove the blight. And David, wasn't there an old English king that said, "Who will remove this blight for me?" Over to you, David.
Yeah, it was. That was in the story of Thomas à Becket, who was the Archbishop of Canterbury, and the phrase was something along the lines, "Who will rid me of this argumentative or troublesome priest?" I think it was. I went to school near Canterbury, up on the hill. It's a beautiful old city. The cathedral, I think, dates from the 12th century. It's an extraordinarily historic place. It's got Roman remains in it. And I think what we're going to find, Field, as we dig deeper and deeper, the Honourable Artillery Company were trained in surveillance and target acquisition right back from their foundation, and that would be 1537. So the War of Independence would have been 230, 240 years later. And as I mentioned some shows ago, my ancestors, Sir John Hawkins and so on, he was one of the investors in the Virginia Company that I believe got letters patent from King James I. And the letters patent said something along the lines that in perpetuity, the rights, the usufruct, and the wealth of Virginia accrued to the investors in the Virginia Company in perpetuity. And that was 1600. So in 1776, when the colonists decided that they want to break out from underneath the king, and remember, well, I don't want to educate or anyone, but basically my understanding of the constitutional monarchy is it doesn't matter in a constitutional monarchy whether an idiot or a pedophile or whatever fills the crown's position. It's the office that's important. And the office of the Crown of England or the United Kingdom, Great Britain and Northern Ireland, sits below the law, and the law sits below God. So this is an extremely robust formula that can survive stupidity and criminality of a king, because the king or the queen can always be punished in a court of law, because the court of law in the English Commonwealth or the English-speaking peoples belongs to the people. Now, in order to break that system down, I believe that the merchants of the City of London realized they had to break away a significant part of the population of the United States of America in the colonist time from the rule of law, so they set up a situation where the colonists blamed the king for taxes that had been imposed by the merchants. And they broke away, and the Constitution of the United States, or the Declaration of Independence, and I'm not an expert, I'm sure there are many people who understand there's a lot more, they don't appear to have addressed the contracts that prevailed at the time, and we just have to cast our minds back, where the people or the families or the livery companies in the United Kingdom or England that had invested in the Virginia Company, and there were, in the previous century, there was the Muscovy Company and the Levant Company, they believed they had letters patent that granted them an interest for the rest of eternity. So I think, Phil, we may very well find that the wars of independence actually were fermented and triggered by the city livery companies using the Honourable Artillery Company. Now, wouldn't that be fascinating? Over to you.
You always give it over to me after you say something that's so fast, especially when I'm not paying attention. In fact, let's see what I am paying attention to. David, you can't see it because you're not on live stream, but what we have here is we got Quick Draw McGraw, and then we got Pistol Pete. I guess something I can say that'll make them very uncomfortable from an UDA standpoint is you guys are so far exposed, and the evidence against you is so vast that we being Abel Danger, can now effectively just watch cartoons all day and watch your house of cards fall. But we're not going to do that because it's sort of like the Three Little Pigs. We know your house of cards is falling, and you can count on Abel Danger to get real close to your house and your cards, and we'll just go like this. We'll just blow your house down, just like the pigs did. If you want to put that in biblical terms, it was when Joshua circled Jericho, and then when they started shouting, down came the walls. You don't have any defensive walls. You collectively, Barry Soetoro, Lord Garden in England, Prince Philip in England, Hillary Clinton, her beard, Valerie Jarrett, you guys are all exposed. You're all going down. You're going down in more ways than one. And there's not a thing you can do to stop those that are pursuing you, because you're just like Don Quixote out there thinking that you're going to go out there and take down the windmill. He who causes the winds, he who settles the waters, he who illuminates the sun by day and the moon by night, he is what's pursuing you, not your paranoia, not a bunch of patriotic people, not just from the United States, but people that are patriotic to whatever nation they were born into, knowing fully well that they didn't pick the nation to which they were born. But regardless of whether you call him God or Yahweh or Abba, it doesn't matter. Anyone with any judgment or any wisdom at all knows that there is a power above humans, and it's a good power. And you people that I just named, you've been deployers of bad power, and your deployment's just about over. And there's going to be a victory party. The weekend, I believe, is the 19th to the 21st of July of 2013. And we may have a lot more to celebrate than just the removal of Hillary Clinton. In fact, I think we will. But let me allow David to manipulate me into threatening these people from an UDA standpoint. So, David, you can't see me, but I'm looking into the camera, really close to the camera, and I'm saying we're so far into your UDA that we can see your tonsils. David, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Phil. I think you're absolutely right. I believe that this is actually going to be a sea change in world affairs, because this conspiracy has been developed. I mean, Obama and Valerie Jarrett and Hillary Clinton, your sister, they're not smart enough to invent this. They basically adopted it and refined it using the modern technology of the computer and the internet to facilitate the man-in-the-middle attacks. But let me just read you a list of the companies which were associated with the development of the Bowman radio. Companies on the team, including Computing Devices Canada, Computing Devices Company Hastings, and General Dynamics Communication System, and those are all units of General Dynamics, and therefore would have been sponsored in this conspiracy by Lester Crown, who met with Valerie Jarrett on the 29th of April of 2010, allegedly to plan the attack on the Abbottabad compound, or set up the attack on the Abbottabad compound using the Bowman radio systems for surveillance and target acquisition. Other companies were ITT Defense Systems, Harris Systems, BAE Systems, and BAE Systems IFS. Very quickly, BAE paid $400 million into your sister's bank account, the United States Department of Justice Asset Forfeiture Fund, and she would have used that money to equip the DMORT teams with the Bowman radios for man-in-the-middle attacks on first responders. And I'm very confident, Phil, you'll be able to prove that the 343 members of the Fire Department of New York were ambushed in that building using the Bowman tactical radio systems to make sure that their radios were jammed. And they went into that system, and that sent a signal to the survivors in the